if your reptile or amphibian is not eating and is generally moving around a lot less and it's also wintertime, you are not alone. There are many of us who absolutely hate wintertime because it means getting to see our reptiles and amphibians less. It means getting to interact with them and feed them less. Wintertime and the brumation that comes with it. So what is brumation? Brumation is, in short, reptile hibernation, but it goes a little bit more deep than that. Jackson is licking my hand right now. Reptiles and amphibians exert quite a bit of energy when looking for food, whether it be during the night or whether it's during the day or whether they're crepuscular and it's at dawn and dusk. They exert quite a bit of energy to go out and look for food sources. And so in the winter, since food sources are scarce, they will preserve that energy and try to stay warm and try to stay healthy, and they will rely on a lot of the fat and nutrient storage that they had accumulated in the warmer months, which is why you may see your gecko or whatever animal you have eating more in the warmer months, because they are preparing for winter. So they rely on that fat and nutrient storage to get them through the colder months when exerting energy to find food that may not be there is just not a good option for them. Like I said, it's about self-preservation, so they are trying to survive a more hostile time of year. And though our reptiles and amphibians are not wild, they are hardwired, it's instinctual for them to brumate, and so it's completely natural and it's not something you have to worry about unless you are noticing other health signs, including like, I don't know, say your gecko or reptile or amphibian was having some eye, nasal, or mouth drainage. Say your gecko was having, or other animal, I keep saying gecko, I'm sorry, but say your animal was having like some, you know, cloudy eyes, or say it was having some wheezing or something like that. Maybe it has an injury to its body. If you're noticing something that's out of the norm, that's like a health concern, then that is a reason to take your gecko to the vet. But brumation is not a reason to seek out vet resources because it's completely natural for them to just slow down eating and moving in the winter. Now, it's different in each species from what I've noticed, so I'm going to talk about the different species that I've kept over the years that have brumated and how I learned about it along the way. It was a lot of fun. But we'll start with leopard geckos because I have the most of those. So between all my leopard geckos, most of them brumate. Some of them don't, like Fritz, which is why he's so fat. There's no fat regulation for him throughout the year. I literally just have to feed him less to hope that he doesn't get overweight. He's also just a really short gecko. But Fritz doesn't go through brumation. He doesn't brumate. He never stops eating, and he's not an active gecko, so he's chubby. But most of the other geckos in the house do brumate, and what it looks like for them is a period of just basically refusing food and not exploring their enclosures as much, really just staying in their humid hides or their hot hides and not doing much else. And of course, that is reptile and amphibian keepers' worst time of year because you really do want to see your animal engaging with its environment and you want to feed it and enjoy that. Especially since I hand feed my geckos, it's really boring to not be able to do that and to try and get them to eat food because you still offer food even though they're brumating, because not all of them brumate for like weeks and weeks and weeks. Some just brumate for a week or two and then some brumate for months, which we'll get to. So between all my leopard geckos, I noticed that most of them brumate, like I said, and most of them will only brumate for a few weeks, but there are some geckos that will brumate for months, and that's exhausting. Some geckos will just refuse food for months and they'll be inactive for months, and that is also the same with my African fat-tail Asha. She brumates really hard. My cave gecko Nymeria has started to slow down her eating, so I'm sure she'll be brumating soon, but it's my first year with her, so I can't offer any other advice that way. My fire skink stopped eating for about 3 weeks and now he's back to normal, so that was fast. My bearded dragon Franklin has brumated multiple times because I've had him for a few years, and every time he brumates it just gets more and more interesting because he brumates unlike any other reptiles that I have, which means he sleeps. So he literally just like stops eating slowly over time, and then one morning I go downstairs to see him and he is not out basking, he's not out at all. He's like underneath of a hide sleeping, like taking a nap. If I walk by his enclosure, he'll like peek an eye open at me just to give me a good look at, and that's that. He won't give me the time of day, he won't eat, he won't do anything. And I don't bother him during this time. I let him sleep it out. So I just let him sleep, and then when he wakes up and it's fine. But Franklin is a bearded dragon that brumates on and off, so he'll slow down his eating, he'll sleep for like a couple weeks, and then he'll wake up and eat again, and he'll bath and poop and all the normal stuff, and then he'll go back to brumating. And this only usually lasts like, I don't know, like I said, a couple weeks, maybe like once a month for a couple months. Like, he only goes in and out of sleep a couple times. But every bearded dragon is different. Some bearded dragons will sleep hard and they won't wake up until they're done, like for good, and then some won't brumate at all, and some will brumate at the wrong time of year. So you get real special surprises when your animals are just different than the others. But each bearded dragon or leopard gecko's brumation is going to be different. Another animal I've had that is brumated is my tiger salamander, Neville, who literally burrowed into the ground and just stayed there, and I didn't see him for weeks. And then one day he came out and I fed him, and then I didn't see him for weeks again. Now he's kind of out of brumation. He's been popping his head out more, and he's been eating more, but he's still not as active as he was before. Sorry, I'm petting my dog Jackson just to keep him nice and quiet and complacent. But yeah, my tiger salamander like will literally burrow in the ground, and then I don't get to see him for a little bit, and then one day he'll just surprise me with his head popped out the dirt, and he'll eat quite a bit, and then when he's done, he just burrows back into the ground and I don't see him again for a couple weeks. It's really important to respect your animal's decision to brumate. If your animal does want to brumate, unless there's like a health reason why it shouldn't, but I've never come across that situation. Brumation is very natural for them. It's a good way for them to regulate their weight as well. Like I said, with Fritz being overweight, I wish he would brumate so that I could get him to lose some pounds or some grams, but he just doesn't. He refuses to brumate, and that's just who he is, and that's fine. But if your animal does choose to brumate, you should let them. Now, there is no reason to be concerned about brumation. Look at Jackson's tail. There's no reason to be concerned about brumation. It is a natural process for them, and it's, like I said, completely healthy unless you're noticing other health issues, in which case you should consult a vet. There's one more thing I want to talk about before closing out this video, and that is, should you induce brumation or should you cause brumation, and should you change anything about your animal's habitat while they are brumating? Now, should you induce brumation? I say that the only person that should be inducing brumation is like a breeder. There are reasons that breeders will change like the temperature in their animal's enclosure, and that is to get them to brumate so that they have a stronger cycle, so that like they understand like the winter and the summer and spring, and that helps them with their reproductive cycle. So that's the only reason I would ever suggest that someone would go ahead and induce brumation in their animal. Because if your animal brumates, it's fine. If not, it's fine. But if they're like a breeding animal, then brumation is a bit more important. Now, as for the second one, which would be, should you change anything about your animal's enclosure during brumation? I personally don't. I don't change Franklin's heat or his day-night cycle during brumation. I leave it exactly the same. I don't change anything about my gecko's enclosures. I didn't change anything about my tiger salamander's enclosure. Now, if you have like animal that, you know, needs a little bit of extra heat in the winter, that's completely fine. Like, for example, my cave gecko Nymeria, she likes temperatures between 70 and 80, and the pet room is like 69 right now, so I have a heater going at 80, a little tiny heater, just to keep her warm underneath the enclosure. I should add a little tiny heater underneath the enclosure to keep her warm if she should seek it out, just so that she has that warm spot to go to. And she still brumates even with that. Like I said, she still has been slowing down her eating even with that in there. You don't have to make any changes to your animal's enclosure if they're already brumating. Unless, of course, it's a mammal. This video is not about mammals. Mammals are different when it comes to hibernation, and I'm strictly talking about reptile and amphibian brumation. So as long as you are achieving the proper temperatures, even if they're at the lower ends, and your animal goes into brumation, it's okay. It's natural. Don't be alarmed. I hope this video helped you out a little bit. I know brumation can be scary, especially for first-time reptile and amphibian owners. Please do not worry. It is going to be okay. If you found this video helpful and insightful, please let me know down below, and also leave a like. Also, please subscribe and hit the notification bell. We would love to have you here. And also, please check the links below for Patreon and for merch and for a donation link and for social media and for all kinds of stuff. There's a million links down there, so please go check them out. With all that said, I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye! As a special treat for those of you who stayed until the end, I wanted to include this clip of Asha eating because last night she actually came out of brumation, and last night is literally the night before I upload this video, so I was like, ooh, let me get it in there before I upload it because, first of all, Asha is incredibly cute, and second, it's educational for the video. So as you can tell, Asha is a little bit skinnier than when she went into brumation a couple months ago. Like I said in the video, Asha brumates hard. She doesn't eat much at all for months. I can usually get her to eat a hornworm or a superworm here and there, but that's it. I can personally tell that Asha lost weight due to the fact that her protruding humpback is more noticeable.
So again, this is just a little treat for those who stayed to the end of the video. If you guys like these little treats thrown in at the end, let me know and I'll do that more often. But thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Please enjoy Asha eating for the rest of this video.